Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. It's no surprise that magic builds are easily one of the best options when it comes to Elden Ring, but in today's video, I'm going to show you a god tier sorcerer build that will literally carry you through the entire game. I got to give a special shout out to Apex Gaming. If you guys are unaware, I actually started my own line of PCs with Apex Gaming. The good news is, if you don't have all the cash right now to buy one of these PCs, Apex Gaming does offer financing options. Just make sure you use my code COLD to save you up to $250 on your brand new Apex Gaming PC. If you are looking for a magic build in Elden Ring that gives you an incredibly fast time to kill, then this is definitely the build for you. In fact, this build is so powerful that most of the enemies in the game won't even have a chance to attack you back. This fact alone easily makes this one of the best DPS options in the game. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are new to From Software games and they may not be the best when it comes to combat, so in my personal opinion, I think a sorcerer build just like mine is going to be an incredible option for you. The weapons, items, and talismans that we are using in today's setup is going to allow for very fast spellcasting speed, lots of damage with our spells, and at the end of the day, this build is very consistent, and when you're playing a game like this one, consistency is key. I hope you guys are ready, because this is one of the best sorcerer builds to use in Elden Ring. So the first thing I like to do with all of my build videos, you guys, is I want to show you what your attributes would look like for different level brackets. Level 50, 100, 150, you guys get the idea. So what I did here is I took a trip over to Renala, the Moon Queen, which is one of the main bosses in the game. After you defeat this boss, you will get the ability to respec your attributes. Now, the attributes on the left side are my current attributes. I am level 250. If you look to the right here, this is what your attributes would look like if you were somewhere around level 50. Now, keep in mind, I started with the warrior class, so your starting attributes may be a little different than mine, but keep in mind, the similar trend is going to carry over for different level brackets here. At level 50, I would recommend increasing your vigor, your overall HP to 25. Mind is going to be also very important. The more mind you have, the more focus points you have, and the more spells you can cast. I have endurance at 15, strength at 15. Keep in mind, you want to get your strength to at least 20 before you reach level 100, so you can utilize one of the best shields for a sorcerer build, the Jellyfish shield. We'll get to that in a moment here. Dexterity is also very important. You want to get your dexterity to 30 as quick as you possibly can. Dexterity not only gives you weapon damage for weapons that scale with dexterity, but also dexterity is very important for spellcasters, because the higher your dexterity, the faster your spellcasting speed. And then intelligence at 20, the higher our intelligence is, the more damage we do with our spells. At level 100, I would recommend increasing your overall vigor to at least 40. I think 40 is a great spot to be at, especially at level 100. Keep in mind, as a sorcerer, you're not going to be doing much melee combat. Most of your attacks are from range, so I think 40 is a pretty good spot to be at. We have mind at 32. We increased our endurance to 20. Remember, strength at 20 is very important so we can equip the Jellyfish shield. The Jellyfish shield is going to give us 20% extra damage to our spells, so it's very important for this build. Increase your dexterity as much as you possibly can, and then we have intelligence at 30. At level 150, I would recommend increasing your vigor to 50. We have mind at 32, endurance at 20, strength at 20. I recommend increasing your dexterity to 30. You only need 30 because the glintstone staff that we are using is actually going to help us achieve the max spellcasting speed. So 30 is a sweet spot. And then we have intelligence at 60. I think at level 150, this is a great set of attributes to have. As I mentioned earlier, I am currently level 250. Obviously, I've had multiple playthroughs in Elden Ring, but if you want to see my attributes, if you're curious, I have 60 vigor, mind at 60, endurance 39, strength and dexterity both at 30, and I actually hit max intelligence at 99. Now, as a sorcerer, your primary weapon is going to be a glintstone staff. The one I personally recommend is AZURS glintstone staff. Once you get attributes similar to mine and you fully upgrade this glintstone staff, you are going to have S tier attribute scaling, which is amazing, but also keep in mind you need at least 52 intelligence to use this glintstone staff. Now, why do I think this is one of the best options to use? Well, if we look at it a little bit closer here, this staff reduces casting time of all sorceries, but it does consume additional FP. Now, if you guys remember earlier, I mentioned that Dexterity is going to contribute to your overall spell casting time. So, the higher your Dexterity, the quicker you can cast your spells. AZUR's Glintstone Staff is going to give you an additional 40 Dexterity on your build, which would technically put you at 70 Dexterity, which is the max for spell casting speed. We're also using a shield on this build. The Jellyfish shield is one of the best shields to use for a sorcerer build because of the unique skill Contagious Fury. Incite the jellyfish's wrath and allow its fury to flow through you. Raises attack power for a certain duration. So essentially what this shield is going to do for us, it's not going to give us much defense, but every time we use the skill, it is going to give us an additional 20% damage to our magic attacks. This shield works for both melee and magic abilities. For the apparel, in case you guys are curious, I know I have some pretty cool fits when it comes to my build videos. I'm using the Black Knife hood, the Page garb, Millennia's gauntlets, and the Bandit boots. I think this makes my character look like a sorcerer, battle mage, whatever you want to call it, but I think it looks pretty cool. Before we get to the talismans, I want to go over the spells that I'm using. These are my personal favorite spells to use. So my main attack for enemies that have a pretty decent amount of HP is going to be the COMET. Now, this one does a lot of damage, and the more you charge this attack, it's going to do more damage, and it's going to have more range. So, personally, this is going to be probably your main attack. COMET AZUR, this is essentially the spell you are going to use for one-phasing bosses, and honestly, this is probably the highest DPS spell in Elden Ring. I also wanted the option to have a couple of melee attacks, so I'm using some of the Carrion spells. I have the Carrion Slicer, very quick, fast attacks that actually cause a lot of stagger and do a lot of damage. We also have the Carrion Greatsword, which is one of my personal favorite, and the Carrion Piercer is also extremely viable, especially when you charge it up. Now, there is a staff in this game that gives you more damage for your Carrion abilities. This one right here, the Carrion Glintstone Staff, which boosts Carrion Sword sorceries, but at the end of the day, the best option is going to be AZUR's Glintstone Staff because you're going to get that additional max spellcasting speed, and that Jellyfish shield buff, Contagious Fury, is going to make up for that damage that you are losing. I'm also using Terra Magica, which gives you a sphere below your character. As long as you stand in this circle, all of your magic attacks are going to do more damage. This pairs extremely well with COMET AZUR, so essentially what you want to do before you attack a boss is you want to use Terra Magica and activate COMET AZUR. It's going to give you more damage, and like I said, COMET AZUR is one of the best spells in the game. And last but not least here, I have the Glintstone Pebble. This is a very low damage spell, but what's good about this one overall, it doesn't use much FP, and it's good against enemies that don't have a lot of health. So don't waste your COMET if you don't need to. If you're fighting low-level enemies, go ahead and use the Glintstone Pebble. For the talismans, I'm using the Ritual Sword Talisman, which raises your attack power when HP is at maximum. This is an amazing talisman for sorcerers because most of the time your HP is going to be full. You're not going to get close enough in most situations to even take any damage, so I highly recommend using this one. You also have the Graven School Talisman. I recommend using the better option here, which I actually don't have yet, the Mass Graven School Talisman, which is going to raise the potency of your sorceries. The Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman is also pretty good to have, which enormously boosts physical damage negation, so just in case you get in a situation where you're getting attacked by multiple enemies, especially a boss that does a lot of damage, this is really going to increase your survivability overall. And then last but not least, we have the Green Turtle Talisman, which raises stamina recovery speed. Or your Wondrous Physic mix, which I only recommend using against bosses if you want to do as much damage as possible with your COMET AZUR spell. I'm using the Cerulean Hidden Tier, which eliminates all FP consumption. And then we also have the Magic Shrouding Crack tier, which temporarily boosts magic attacks. If you want to see more build videos similar to this one, I have everything on my channel: bleed builds, tank builds, every single option. Anything you guys want to see is going to be on my channel. I highly recommend checking out my Elden Ring playlist. If you want to see more videos in the future, make sure you like the video first and foremost, and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. I would love to have you as a part of the family. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.